How do you rebuild faith when you feel like you no longer believe in anything? How can you know and feel that there is a plan for you when all feels lost and when the entire world is on pause? How do you rekindle that sense of belief, non-religiously, agnostically, or as an atheist, and reinstill that sense of love, inspiration, and connection with your life if it's been missing to you? If we turn to some simple ideas about nature and some accessible physical practices, it's possible for us to cultivate a deep sense of atheistic spiritual belief. And I'm going to talk you guys through some of these ideas that you can use as tools when you lose your way. For those people who have been called overthinkers, or you have a tumultuous relationship with your mind, this is especially for you. When it comes to knowing and feeling that there is a plan for you, the first step is recognizing the difference between a plan that is an intellectual, human idea about the future and how to get there, and a plan in the sense of a biological or ecological plan, what we'll call a natural plan. So the human notion of a plan is, I'm going to make a to-do list, I'm going to evaluate this data, I'm going to create this rubric, this matrix, and timetables. In other words, I'm going to use the existing information that I see externally to design and impose a structure for future events. A natural plan, on the other hand, is the intrinsic architecture by which life operates. We aren't born with a handbook, but we do arrive with and within a plan. What makes a willow tree look different from a pine tree, or one willow tree look different from another willow tree, is defined internally. That's a natural plan that's within the biology and the body of the tree, even when it comes to how it reacts to external forces. So there is a geometry to everything, and we can extend the understanding of a natural plan to include the tree's life cycle, how birds and insects pollinate it, and how that individual living organism is part of an ecosystem. And we can extend our understanding of that organism to how that system interacts with other natural cycles like precipitation or fluid dynamics or physics. So that's what we have to anchor ourselves in when we're seeking the feeling, a spiritual feeling of faith. If you have lost faith, you may not be able to find it or recover it in a lasting or sustainable way. If you're approaching spirituality with a search for this mythically larger person or being who's going to communicate with you in the same way that you make a mental plan, you might be let down and lose your faith or not find it again. If you're expecting that someone is going to somehow tell you exactly when to do things or where to go, or deliver this step-by-step handbook for your life that's just, there it is in your email inbox. That concept of a plan works really well for us when we already know what we want to do and how we want to do it. And there's nothing less important with that concept of planning. It's a massive part of what makes us human and allows us to survive and navigate living. It's just simply that a plan for your life in the profound way is not going to be presented externally in any way. So if you look for it, you will not find it, because that is not the modality by which the natural world operates. And we are part of that natural world. The creation of artificial intelligence is mankind's attempt at replicating a modality that would function that way. And that's why the internet delivers you things that you didn't even know you were looking for, but you were looking for something similar. So Google also has a plan for you, but we're looking for a true plan, a feeling of trust in our heart. at a larger plan, a feeling of security at the notion of being alive. And in this organic world, there is a plan that you cannot see. This is the plan that we're exploring in developing spiritual belief. So the first thing that we want to shift is simply anchoring ourselves in a natural idea of a plan that already exists inside. It already exists within you. Wherever you are right now, if you can see a tree or a flower growing, there's a plan for that flower. Not a plan like that flower is going to live in your living room shelf for 4 years and then it falls in love with another plant and then they elope to the backyard. Although it also, it could be that. They're all many plans interconnected. But the plan is what makes that flower grow the way it does and look the way it does. And just like your DNA is the literal plan for your body, and within every cell of you is that plan, there is a plan for your life. Amongst this teeming world of billions of other people and gazillions of other living creatures, there is a dynamic pathway of natural expression for you. Realize that this plan is neither external nor in the future. It's not an imaginary glowing spreadsheet or a flying PowerPoint that you're going to zoom into like Captain Underpants. It's actually something that you are living and breathing right now as you're listening to this. Let that sink in a little bit. It's what you are living and breathing right now. You are your plan. You are the plan. You are an outward expression of your plan. Have you ever thought about when your body is growing, which it's doing all the time, what makes your finger stop where it does? Why isn't your thumb suddenly keep growing and become twice as big? Because there's a plan for how your thumb is going to grow. So to feel faith and to feel that there is a plan for you is to locate your faith less in the mind and more in what we know from the body. So feel the shift in that understanding. Maybe you feel like I'm the plan, that's great, but I hate my life, or I hate my body, or I hate what my mind does to my body. I don't like this plan. What do I do? How do I have faith in life if it constantly lets me down? If I constantly let myself down? Well, exactly. How do you have faith in yourself if you constantly see everything as you are letting yourself down? That understanding of expectation is something else that has to shift and does shift when we reorient ourselves towards thinking about a plan as emerging out of us rather than something that we are trying to impose into our life. So let's go back to just the shift in understanding. Knowing that you are a part of something bigger than yourself opens up the spiritual space. Now, what's the spiritual space? It's simply the space of your spirit, that thing that animates both your body and your mind. You may experience life as your mind, but you are really the spirit that is animating your mind and animating your body. So if we're trapped in our mind, we can open up to the spiritual space by the intellectual exercise of just considering nature and knowing logically, without even emotion, just knowing logically that we are natural and we have a natural plan. And now that we are conscious to our spirit within that space of knowing I am miraculously alive and therefore I am inherently spiritual, we can open up a place in which you are able to speak with the universe via our spirit. In recultivating faith, we now need to apply energy towards our natural connection between an internal plan and other interconnected ecologies. We are feeling faith, producing a feeling of faith by applying energy in the direction of our connection to nature. And energy is what? Energy is what keeps you alive and what you exert when you do anything. It's the flow of nutrition from your food and your water to the cells in your body. Your digestive processes, the way your body takes oxygen and circulates it. Energy is also the flow of toxins that drain your ability to be alive and feel good. That's all energy is. So when we talk about energy, know that it's something concrete. It's not something abstract or like woo-woo. It's only on the internet or on Instagram. It's just this miraculous process by which the banana that you ate somehow becomes the energy to make a phone call to customer service about a package that didn't come. It's the same process by which something that happened to you 10 years ago is affecting the way you sleep today. So we need not be cynical about mysticism or the concept of it being mystical, that energy comes into our body and changes form within our body. You can change verbal energy to physical energy. You can change chemical energy to emotional energy. Your body does it all the time. You do it subconsciously all the time. You are a transmogrifying machine. Your energy is what facilitates all your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And it can be attuned to that space of spirituality in a lasting and sustainable way. Find your faith in nature, in life. Life is oriented towards growth and evolution. Death is part of the process. Death is not in opposition to life. Death is part of the process of life. Somehow life started and it keeps going. And even after this planet has burned up in billions of years, stars and planets and galaxies exist in gravitational motion and reaction to one another. Maybe not what we think of as organic life, but we can see the movement and the shifting transfer of energy and know that it's all one system in which things are transferred. That's at the end of my poem. All of the planets are moving and none of them are alive, and trees are always growing all of the time. So now that we've very thoroughly laid this intellectual riverbed, so to speak, for how a spiritual connection can happen, how do you make the water flow? How do you create a positive feeling? Because that's what faith is. It's your mind wearing those rose-colored sunglasses instead of a wet cloak of death. But I know from many periods of depression, it's not enough to hope and pray for the color rose. How do you make your brain actually see pink, see the sunny side of life? Well, that's the biggest part of faith. How do you have a positive feeling about all of this beyond an intellectual acceptance of the kind of logic of spirituality? How do you stop being emotionally ambivalent? This part is really important to me because I'm coming out of a period of about 3 or 4 years of being very deeply spiritually lost and having some real fucking cynicism. And the positive feeling, whether that's a calmness, a hope, a trust, a feeling of inspiration, healing, love, these are all possible expressions of what comes out of faith. Okay, the positive feeling comes from neurotransmitters bopping around in your brain and your body that come from, you guessed it, mind-body connection. That's all it is. And I don't mind being one of the many people who reverberates this message, because as humans, until we either change our biological structure or our social structure, we need to hear this message again and again throughout all time ad nauseum. It's a mind-body connection. You can activate this mind-body connection in so many ways, no matter what kind of body you have or what kind of mind you have. You can activate it with music, with like woo-woo binaural sounds, or just music that you like, music that's fun, that you want to dance to, music that makes you feel alive. You can activate it through exercise, anything that makes you sweat in a fun way, meditation, breathing, intimacy. I'm willing to bet that if you're coming out of a long period of several months or several years of lost faith, you haven't been regularly exercising or regularly getting enough sleep or stretching or drinking water or doing something to bring you in contact with nature, breathing or singing, and your body. Like, while you've been lost, where has your body been? It's been right there. Somewhere in there, probably a little voice has been nudging you to do those things. This is the great irony of being human, is that somehow our mind can forget about our body and get into a habit of resistance to the body, to just being physical. So it takes us doing these physical things in connection with a feeling of belief and doing it habitually. Now, maybe you do all of these activities already, but you don't have a sense of faith in anything. If that's the case, try just sitting still and connecting yourself with something bigger. Even if you're just telling yourself, okay, I'm connecting with something bigger. Just try it. Try practicing that for a few minutes every day. Again, you don't have to believe in anything else other than the natural world that you see in front of you. You don't need to believe in anything else more than the air and the flowers and the animals and the trees and the birds and the bees. You can also do body scan exercises to use your body to gauge where your mind may be blocked. And there's a lot of different exercises. A really simple one is to just sit and notice where you feel pain or tension, and ask yourself and invite in the question, where is the source of this pain? And see what comes up and validate what comes up. Take your feelings seriously. Look to where you may have felt let down in life, or where you fully haven't communicated yourself outwardly, and ask yourself why. And when you ask yourself why, instead of asking it in a judgmental way or an interrogative way, why do you always feel this way? Ask yourself why from a perspective of validating yourself, of allowing yourself to feel, of knowing that the emotions that you have experienced in your life are valid and you are allowed to have them. Until you take seriously and hold space for your pain, you won't be able to hold space for joy and laughter and real love and appreciation for yourself and others. You can also look to where you may feel let down in life, or where you haven't fully communicated yourself outwardly, and you can invite something in to help you. You can invite even just the idea of simply believing in something. Invite in the idea of believing in something. It is going to require some conscious effort to get out of that low, scared, self-discouraging, unconfident, insecure, comparison-based place of not believing in yourself and therefore feeling like you don't have agency. So if you are in the position of having lost faith in your whole life, you are going to have to remind yourself, hey, do something in the physical world to jumpstart the flow of the happy neurotransmitters. Don't just do something to fix the problem of your life, but do something to fix the flow and to create the movement internally of a positive feeling. And with the knowledge that regardless of your mental state, certain things are good for your body and certain things are bad for your body, you can choose to do those good things and you can stop a downward spiral. You don't have to plan every move of your life, and you will not actually be able to do that effectively until you activate your mind-body connection to get in touch with the security of a true plan inside of you. So the great thing is you can still feel like shit and move yourself in the direction of faith, and you can trust in nature. Look at it, spend time in nature, study it, and know that you have energy because you are alive, and you can change energy because you do it all the time. If your mind is not producing a life that feels good, try redirecting more of your energy, not just your thoughts, but your actual actions, into activities and choices that promote life for your body, whichever kind of body you live in and inhabit in this life. So this is all what the viral situation in the world is forcing us to learn at scale now, because we're not meant to be living in a world where we lack faith in life. So this virus is a part of the plan too. You can substitute the word logic for plan here if you want, like if it sounds too Christian end of days. But this virus is forcing all of us on an individual level to get in touch with the logic and with our faith, because we cannot reliably find an external human logic right now. There are no 100% guarantees out there right now. So we're being pushed to look within, not by God or the woman or the man upstairs, but by the natural world that we are a part of and that is driven towards life and evolution. All of this is part of the plan. Even you listening to this right now. You see the logic? Obviously, it's circular, just like everything else in the universe. So in reactivating the mind-body connection, promoting life within you and energy, you're going to be propelled towards other types of action. You're going to experience some desires that bring you life. Connect the knowledge of mind, body, plan with the feeling of desire through action. When you act externally on the internal desires that come out of faith that you're building, you will create a resonance between your internal world and the outer world. Which, by the way, if you don't know it yet, the outer world is not solid or static in any way. This has been proven by both scientists and spiritual thinkers and spiritual belief systems throughout millennia. But it's kind of hard to wrap our minds around that nothing in front of us is actually solid matter. Not even Miss Corona. She's just vibrating too. And there's probably a frequency that she doesn't really vibe with. So get on that. That's the frequency of life. It's much easier for us to wrap our minds around something like results or proof or science. And that's what you get at the end of this positive feedback loop that we're trying to learn. Step one of it is creating that riverbed, acknowledging, okay, we're on this planet and there are interwoven plans everywhere. And somehow a sperm and an egg combined to be me, and I'm the rippling outward of the Big Bang. And now I'm going to go get lunch. Easy. Be there every day on a daily basis. That's the foundation. Step two, crucial, is that I will do physical and natural things that activate my body and my senses and stimulate the positive brain chemicals that promote life. That is the water flowing through this mental riverbed that you've created. That is the body flowing through the mind, from thought to action. Step three is the amplification of those desires that come out of a faith-based connection. I want to cut people's hair because I'm good at it. I want to cook for people. I want to invent something. I want to start a band. I want to share love. I want to or need to clean my room. I want to take a bath. I need to make a very difficult phone call to someone. I need to tell somebody the truth. I need to get out of a situation That's not healthy for me. And so the faith part is not the erasure of difficulty or challenges. It's not something that solves every problem in the practical realm, but it's the presence of connection to calmness, a hope, a trust, an inspiration, healing, love throughout that difficulty. It's crucial to understand that faith is the foundation to inspired action and necessary action. Faith is a deeper knowledge beneath all of the topical issues, a deeper connection to the notion of futurity or a plan. Now, it's totally unique what your desires will be, but you can trust that if you're grounded in a natural faith and you're promoting life in your body, that those desires will be good for you and lead to good things. And because there are things that are expressing your intrinsic plan, life will return good things back to you. What some people call manifestation or signs, because it's all an interconnected system. And when you get that confirmation, that's where most people look and say, aha, God exists, or there's the proof of my faith. But there's a process to it. There's a breathing to it of energy. That third part, the desired or inspired action, is like exhaling. Resisting faith and denying yourself faith is like holding your breath for so long and not exhaling. If you want to feel that inhale of faith, of life, you have to let that old air go and the fear and be yourself with practice. That is what be yourself means. It means let your life breathe. We lose faith when we think that the world is going to stop breathing somehow. Like if we put something out, nothing will come back to us. But the only time nothing comes back to us is when we refuse to express things outward or to let things go. One of my favorite expressions is, you always miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Well, you also always suffocate 100% of the time that you're not breathing. Meditation can help connect you with this concept of breathing on a physical level and learn to trust it. Your body is meant to breathe. Your body is fighting to be alive. Your life wants to breathe. And your life wants you to have faith and live with faith. Faith is just trusting the fact of being alive. And I know if you have suffered loss, it may be very difficult. Or if you're in contact with traumatic experiences, it may be extremely difficult to even consider a feeling of faith. It may feel offensive to even think that there could be anything to have faith in. I'm only able to share this message with you because I've struggled so deeply and inexplicably with the notion of being alive and what that means. But I think faith is to not struggle with the concept of being alive. It's okay. Life has your back just by you being here. The world that we've created as humans is a different thing from life. But life wants you. There is a plan for you because you are here. And you can take deep comfort in this. And you need to. We need our faith to be able to live in this world that we as humans have created. And not only that, to transform it back into something that is closer to nature. So having faith isn't avoiding the hard truths of life and just covering them with rainbow sparkles, even though life is deeply at the deepest level, rainbow sparkles. But building faith is creating a foundation in a greater knowledge in order to traverse the difficulties of the world. Know you have a plan. Know there is a plan for you so that then you can make those concrete plans and go into those concrete actions having confidence in yourself and conducting yourself with love and inspiration towards others. Thankfully, you are not required to feel an all-consuming faith in order to kickstart the process of having it. And also, please remember, spirituality doesn't have to feel like an identity or something. It's just part of being human. Remember that your experience with faith, desire, pleasure, and purpose don't have to be controlled by validation or social media. Act on what makes you feel good and gives you life, and the rest will follow. The brain has an amazing ability to fill in information once you give it the basic big ideas. Pain and toxicity will come up, and that's okay, and that's natural. Reminders of the past will come to meet you because it is in your plan to resolve these things and evolve. So remember that you can have courage when you face phantoms of the past. See them for what they are and address what you need to address in them, but know that it's part of your plan to evolve and eventually let go of things. Find things that calm you in a moment of panic. I love roller skating, I love showers, I love reality TV. These things soothe me deeply. And it's important to not feel guilty about things that soothe you when you're in a moment of panic. It's okay to use a tool to come down from your panic and then address, okay, why did that pain come up? How can I heal it? How can I go into the mind-body connection intentionally? A lot of times our panic is trying to get us to connect physically with something that we've been distancing ourselves from for a long time, or an emotion that for some reason we don't want to let ourselves feel and allow ourselves to feel and validate it by allowing ourselves to feel it. But in that moment of panic, it can feel so overwhelming that if you try to rush in with your big ass toolbox and blowtorch and figure out, okay, what's the root of this panic while you're still in the panic, you can work yourself back up because your sympathetic nerve system has just taken off. With anxiety, there can be a lot of pressure to resolve it in the moment, but it's okay to calm yourself down first. Get yourself out of that reactive state. And I think it takes time to distinguish between what is calming yourself down from a heightened moment, what is healing yourself, and what same actions or thoughts in a different moment could actually be distractions for yourself. It's all very subtle and it's very personal. All throughout this process of building faith that we've been talking about, there's many different mental states that we pass through. Keep in mind that growing a sense of faith is also going to interact with other belief systems and other physical systems that you have going on. So continue to be patient and observant with yourself. You don't have to force yourself into this state of immediate and constant belief. You don't have to be constantly feeling this fiery passion of faith. It's more just like changing your baseline wavelength. You are rebuilding a muscle in a world in which nothing is constructed to support this muscle. Nothing in our society at large, is structured to support your spiritual knowledge and growth. Please don't be hard on yourself for needing to practice or having fallen out of faith when the culture we live in has destroyed societies that are based entirely on faith and spiritual connection. And also when the history of religion is so fraught. And this history is distressing, but you don't need to have faith in the destroyers. You can have faith that people as a whole are part of nature. And so destruction does not have total control. Nature is larger than us. Nature also includes love amongst the animals, not just people too. And it will heal you, and you will heal yourself by promoting life and removing that which is toxic. There is a plan for you. You are alive and you have energy and the space to cultivate faith. You have a spirit that is welcome in this world, that is designed for this world. Your first job is to know that for yourself. and to welcome yourself into this world and to welcome your own design into this world. Connect to nature with openness to the idea of faith. Open and nourish your body. Take actions. Have forgiveness, patience, and validation for yourself, and the path will reveal itself beneath you. Everything is within you. You don't have to construct it. You just have to connect to it by doing what gives you life and energy, by doing what heals you, and by trusting the actions that your faith and intuition lead you to. Thank you so much for listening, and please share this message if it was valuable to you. Lots of love to you.